Hey everyone, it's FLAK Fire. Battlefield 1 is known for bringing some long-lost weapons back to life. Sometimes it's a vehicle like the Char 2C. Other times it's a weapon, which is what we're going to be talking about here today. For this video, we're going to dig into the past and uncover some of the rarest guns in Battlefield 1, from a historical standpoint anyway. Now, what I mean by this are guns featured in the game that saw limited or no service in World War I. They might be prototypes, and in some cases, they no longer exist. We're not really talking about the terrible guns in the game that are shunned by players, though some on this list might fit that description. They're in no particular order either, so let's just jump into it. First on my list is the SMG 0818. Operationally, this submachine gun is essentially a scaled-down 9mm version of the Maxim MG 0818 machine gun with some obvious changes. Uniquely, it features a feed box containing 10 8-round clips. The SMG 0818 was likely intended to complement German stormtroop tactics late in the war, and was probably developed by Andreas Wilhelm Schwarzlose. A drawing of the weapon appears in a 1920 patent application, which reveals a spade would have been used as a way to stabilize the weapon. However, that's pretty much all we know. Apparently only two are known to exist, both in Russian institutions and likely brought back after World War II. Next is the Ribeyrolles 1918. Some would argue this weapon could be described as the first assault rifle. It was a select fire, carbine-length rifle that utilized an intermediate cartridge. Unfortunately, it didn't actually work very well. In its 1918 trials, there were reportedly 53 malfunctions in 75 rounds of semi-automatic fire. Development continued for at least a few more years, but eventually the idea was scrapped, with the French instead adopting the MAS 38. It's unknown how many of the Ribeyrolles were manufactured, but no known examples exist today. Third is that infamous gun, the Standschütze Hellriegel. This Austro-Hungarian submachine gun was another World War I development, probably spurred by the need for more compact and mobile firepower. Like the Ribeyrolles, no examples of this weapon are known to exist, and in fact there are only 3 images of it, and everything we know has to be pulled from there. The images illustrate it could fire from a 20-round stick magazine or a 160-round drum magazine. Magazine size differs in Battlefield 1 for balancing purposes, and developers certainly had to improvise some aspects of the gun to make it workable, but it goes without saying that this is probably the closest you're going to get to ever firing the real thing. Fourth is the Pedersen Device. It's easy to overlook this gun in Battlefield 1, but you shouldn't. The device transforms a Model 1903 Springfield bolt-action rifle into one that can sling 40 rounds of pistol ammunition basically as fast as you can pull the trigger. The device was developed by John Pedersen and ordered in preparation for the planned 1919 spring offensive. Some 65,000 of these devices were manufactured, that's about half the original order, but nearly all were destroyed in the early 1930s. That might have been a bit of a short-sighted decision with World War II about 10 years away. Unfortunately, less than 100 Pedersen devices survive today. But in a cool note, in Battlefield 1 you can actually swap in the standard Springfield bolt and use it for long-range engagements. Before we get to the last weapon on my list here, let's take a look at some honorable mentions. The American Burton LMG was intended for use in airplanes, but rendered obsolete by the time it was ready. The Italian Villa Perosa saw more widespread use than you might imagine, and it of course also formed the basis of the Automatico. The Selbstlader 1906 applied Georg Luger's toggle lock into a self-loading rifle, but it inherited the same complexities as the P08, while the Thompson Annihilator almost made it into World War I, but the conflict ended 2 days before the first prototypes were shipped to Europe. Its derivatives would of course become iconic in World War II. So last on my list is the game's ugly duckling, the RSC SMG. An affront to just about every gun design principle, the RSC SMG is probably more effective in Battlefield 1 than it ever would have been in real life. The weapon's barrel was about 13.5 inches long and it weighed under 9 pounds, yet it still fired the full-power 8mm Lebel rifle cartridge. The model in Battlefield 1 features the early 8-round magazine, complete with the ammunition very clearly exposed to the elements. Although this weapon was intended for use by tank crews from the firing port or if they had to dismount, it was unsurprisingly found to be too uncontrollable and never adopted. Overall, Battlefield 1 brought a lot of interesting and obscure weapons to light for players, and I think it did it in a compelling way. For many, it spawned a lifelong interest in the conflict, and I think that's great. There are many lessons to be learned from World War I. I am curious if there are any weapons you feel should be on the list, and what do you think of my selections? Make sure you tell me your thoughts down below in the comments. If you enjoyed this video, leave a like. If not, a dislike. Make sure to subscribe and tap the bell to get updates on the latest Battlefield videos. If you want to support the channel, keep your money, share this video, or check out some of our channel sponsors. And as always, thanks for watching.